Chapter 1, Poor and Penniless, He Came to Recruit Disciples. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When the sun was about to rise, a donkey-riding man who looked like a quack doctor came from the main road east of the village. If you look closely, you will find that it is a skinny donkey with dead hair all over its body. The new hair is bright and the dead hair is dark. It looks dirty as if it has leprosy. The donkey is so ugly, but the quack doctor who leads the donkey is extraordinary. He wears an exquisite Taoist hat and a neat Taoist robe. He shakes a golden copper bell in one hand and holds a green hemp rein in the other hand. He greets the early risers with a smile. The beautifully dressed Taoist priest and the extremely ugly donkey attracted the attention of the villagers, and the villagers came up to chat with him. "Master, your donkey is not young, right?" The Taoist replied with a smile. "Good eyes, fellow villager, it is almost 100 years old." After saying that, he reached out and touched the donkey's head. Feeling the Taoist's touch, the donkey raised its head and snorted like a horse. "Hey, master, don't joke with me. Donkeys can only live for 20 years at most. How can they live for more than 100 years?" The villagers asked suspiciously. The Taoist smiled and said nothing. This smile made the villagers feel that the Taoist was unfathomable. Some villagers asked, "Master, where do you practice?" The Taoist said, "It's in the Qingshan Sect of Daqing Mountain not far from your village." The villagers were in awe. They didn't expect that this Taoist priest actually came from the immortal sect. Even the villagers who were busy farming all year round knew that any place with Zhang was a great sect. It was a place where immortals with magical powers gathered. The status of this Taoist priest from there was naturally extraordinary. Seeing the Taoist leading the donkey away, several people looked at each other hurriedly, exchanged glances quickly, and conspired with their eyes. One person went straight to the village chief's house, one went straight to the homes of several village elders, one went straight to the family private school in the village, and one went forward to entangle the Taoist. Li Qingyun felt the movement behind him and showed a successful smile on his face. His trick really worked. He was a hermit, well-dressed, and righteous. He didn't believe that these people would not send their children to him as apprentices. Humph, this is much more effective than going to them to arrange it with a flattering face. Li Qingyun walked and calculated. This village is a big village. All the people in the village are surnamed Wang. There are at least 3,000 people. 3,000 people. There is a great hope that he can recruit another good seedling. Thinking of this, Li Qingyun couldn't help but feel sad. Others who traveled through time all had extraordinary talents. Even if they didn't, they were once the second generation of immortals. But he traveled through time and became the young master of a ruined sect. The key point was that his parents died. When the tree fell, the monkeys scattered. Except for him, the entire sect was disbanded and only an old gatekeeper and the old donkey under his crotch were left. It has been almost a month since he traveled to this world. Li Qingyun probably already understands the rules of this world, which is a world of cultivating immortals. It's just that this world is too big. Before Li Qingyun had time to appreciate the customs of various places, he was assigned tasks by a system that came from nowhere. Of course, for Li Qingyun, who could accept such an outrageous thing as traveling through time, it was not difficult to accept the system. The sect cultivation system is open. The main task: become the strongest sect in history. The first task is to recruit 2 disciples under the age of 16 with a comprehensive score of 3 stars or above. Deadline: 1 month. Task reward: random sect props. Failure penalty: if the first task fails, it means that the host is not suitable for this system. Then this system will make a decision to destroy the host. That the simple and rough system made Li Qingyun have nowhere to complain. Now he looks calm and steady on the surface, but in fact he is as panicked as the villagers behind him who are chasing him in a hurry. The task will expire in 3 days. I am still as handsome and healthy as in my previous life. I can still cultivate immortality. I don't want to die. The villager Wang Ergu finally caught up with Li Qingyun and stood on one side, breathing heavily. "Brother Ergu, don't worry." Li Qingyun mobilized his spiritual power and gently brushed Wang Ergu, and Wang Ergu's rapid breathing turned into a gentle sound. Ergu swallowed his saliva. Master, you are so powerful. No. How did you know my name is Ergu? Li Qingyun smiled mysteriously again and said nothing. In Wang Ergu's heart, Li Qingyun's status was once again raised to an unprecedented level. He had seen age, physical condition, and even family situation guessed, but he had never seen a name guessed. It was simply a magical method. In fact, Li Qingyun just used the system to check Wang Ergu's qualifications. Name, Wang Ergu. Age, 30 years old. Qualifications, single spiritual vein, root bone 1, understanding 2, blessing source 1, heart 7, total score 11. Cultivation, none, star, not in the grade. It is said that this is only the basic function of the system. Li Qingyun smiled. I wonder what the non-basic functions of the system are. Wang Ergu said cautiously, Master, my elder brother asked me to stop you just now and not let you go too far. Our village chief will come to see you later and said he wants to show his hospitality as a host. I appreciate your kindness, but I have a tight schedule, so I won't waste time on these formalities. Li Qingyun still looked mysterious and said lightly. Wang Ergu was immediately anxious. Master, don't misunderstand me. I think they have something to ask you. According to my guess, they may want to bring the children of school age in the village to be disciples of the master. This. Li Qingyun frowned, looking embarrassed, as if it was very difficult for the villagers to send him disciples. Wang Ergu said anxiously, Master, you wait here, I will be back in a while. After that, he ran away. Not long after, Wang Ergu led a group of people to rush over. Yes, they rushed over. No matter young or old, they all ran forward. An old man with gray beard in front was carried by a strong young man. His raised goatee was bumped up and down by the rapid running. Even so, the old men still looked up and shouted, Master, don't leave, listen to what I have to say. Li Qingyun turned around and left as if he didn't hear anything, but as soon as he turned around, he felt the old man leaning forward excitedly. The young man had no time to stop him and was about to fall to the ground. Alas! Li Qingyun sighed deeply. The next moment he appeared beside the old man and gently supported him. Come on. Come on. Since I came here, I have a fate with you. Then I will take a look at your children. After Li Qingyun helped the old man up, he stood proudly in front of everyone. The breeze blew, and his sleeves fluttered gently, just like a Taoist master with immortal style and bones. The old man grabbed Li Qingyun's sleeves and cried like a child, the immortal is really kind-hearted. The villagers behind him also echoed. Yes, thank you, immortal master. Thank you for giving us the blessings of the younger generation. Thank you, great mercy. Some people even knelt down with their knees weak. Li Qingyun used his magic power to hold up the people who wanted to kneel down. Excuse me, everyone, please take me to see the child first. Yes, don't delay the immortal, let's go to the private school to see the child first. I'll lead the way. Wang Ergu ran to the front diligently and said proudly to the people around him, thanks to my timely report, right? If I hadn't said good things to the Taoist priest, the Taoist priest would have left. Chapter 2 The Little Devil is Safe. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wang Ergu seemed to be admired by the people around him because he returned in time to report the news. Of course, it could also be because he was the first person to contact the immortal, and everyone naturally thought that he had a different relationship with the immortal. Google search reading. On the way to the private school, only the old man with gray beard was talking to Li Qingyun. The others were obviously a little restrained in front of Li Qingyun, a mysterious monk with great supernatural powers. The old man claimed to be the village chief. When he was young, he worked as a handyman in the Tianji pavilion of the immortal business hundreds of miles away. He had seen the world, so he was elected as the village chief after returning to the village. There are more than 3,000 people in Wangzhuang, all of whom are surnamed Wang. At present, there are 30 teenagers aged 12 to 16 in Wangzhuang private school. To be honest, there are far more than 30 children of the right age in this village, but the resources are really limited, so we can only give priority to cultivating children with innate qi sense. Poor those abandoned children, if they were born in a big family, they might continue to practice. Li Qingyun was delighted when he heard this. Qi sense must be a talent possessed by good seedlings with more than 3 innate spiritual veins. Yong village has 30 children with more than 3 spiritual veins, so there is a great hope of finding good seedlings. But although he thought so in his heart, he still just nodded lightly on the surface, without any expression. The practice of Qi training period mainly relies on the breathing of spiritual energy from heaven and earth, and the conversion efficiency of spiritual energy is closely related to the number of spiritual veins in each person's body. Single spiritual vein, 3 spiritual veins, 6 spiritual veins, 9 spiritual veins. The more spiritual veins there are, the higher the talent, the faster the practice speed, and the more solid the foundation. Seeing that Li Qingyun was still calm, the village chief was even more impressed. 30 seedlings with aura had already made the neighboring villages jealous, but the immortal in front of him was not moved at all. This showed that in the great sect of the immortal in front of him, children with innate aura and more than 3 spiritual veins were not worth mentioning at all. But how could he know that Li Qingyun's sect, including himself and the old gatekeeper, and the new disciples he accepted a few days ago, plus the old donkey he led, only had a total of 4 people? The village chief thought with emotion. No wonder the magpie has been calling these days. It turns out that good things are really coming. If the immortal in this great sect only accepts 1 disciple to do odd jobs, he will no longer have to be afraid of the people in Chao village next door. After all, if you don't enter the sect, even if you have 3 spiritual veins that are picked out from 100 miles away, you can only practice to the 3rd level of Qi training, and that's just an ordinary person with a stronger body. And if you enter the sect, even if you have the worst single spiritual vein, you can practice to the 6th level of Qi training with the guidance and resources of the sect master. Why is the neighboring Chao village so rampant recently? Isn't it because one of their children was sent to the soul-snatching sect? Someone from the private school arrived early and gathered all the teenagers of the right age together. A group of teenagers stood in front of Li Qingyun in an orderly manner. Hello, immortal. Li Qingyun smiled and nodded to the teenagers, his eyes searching among them quickly. The village chief said, "Children, today our Xuanhuan has encountered a great blessing. We were lucky enough to meet the immortal who traveled here. The immortal is willing to form an immortal relationship with our Xuanhuan and select a few disciples from you. This is also a great opportunity for you, so grasp it well." Next. No need. Li Qingyun's voice sounded, interrupting the old village chief. The old village chief looked at Li Qingyun with his eyes wide open, as if he realized something. Li Qingyun shook his head slightly. He had already checked when the village chief was talking. These 30 children all had 3 spiritual veins, and their comprehension and fortune were also mediocre, which was still far from the 3-star genius required by the system. So, did he still not receive any disciples during this trip to Xuanhuan? Li Qingyun began to panic. There were only 3 days left before the deadline of the system task. Is it so difficult to find a 3-star genius? Is his task going to fail? In that case, I'll take my leave. Li Qingyun said goodbye to the old village chief. He wanted to save time to rush to the next big village to find good seedlings. The old village chief forced a smile and said almost pleadingly, "Would the immortal mind take a look at our children with single spiritual roots? Although the cultivation requires high qualifications, other aspects." Humph. A cold snort suddenly sounded from the tree, and a strong wind shot towards Li Qingyun. Li Qingyun reached out and grabbed, suppressed the strong wind, and caught the thing thrown at him from the tree, which turned out to be a stone. The old village chief was shocked. "Boy! Get down quickly, don't cause a big disaster." The man on the tree didn't listen, and threw another stone down, and Li Qingyun reached out and grabbed it again. Several villagers around with nimble hands and feet quickly climbed up the tree from one side to catch the culprit who threw the stone. "I'm sorry to disturb the immortal, please look at this boy's young age and ignorance." The old village chief hurriedly explained. He knew in his heart that if the person in front of him got angry, the whole village would be in trouble. Ding! A genius with no inheritance above 6 stars was found. Please be sure to accept him. Name, Sun Pingyun. Age, 12 years old. Qualifications, 16 spiritual veins, heavenly spiritual veins, root 8, comprehension 8, fortune 7, heart 5, total score 28. Cultivation, none, star rating, 6-star genius. Bring him here. Li Qingyun shouted. Master. The old village chief shouted weakly, but seeing that Li Qingyun seemed really angry, he had no choice but to wave his hands at the people next to him. A piece of black coal-like thing was pulled down from the tree by several people, but it was very wild. Even with 3 or 4 adults holding it down, it kept kicking and biting and struggling. Finally, it was thrown in front of Li Qingyun with a plop. The thing opened its big eyes and stared at Li Qingyun fiercely, allowing Li Qingyun to finally see clearly that this piece of black coal-like thing turned out to be a child with no clothes on his upper body. The child had a round head and short hair that stood out like a hedgehog. His big eyes full of life stared at Li Qingyun with 5 points of anger, 2 points of fear, and 3 points of curiosity. I want to take him away. Li Qingyun said lightly. Immortal, he is just a child. The old village chief said weakly. I said I want to take him away. Li Qingyun looked at the old village chief and repeated it seriously. The old village chief widened his eyes, his lips trembling slightly. Are you serious? Li Qingyun smiled slightly. Of course I am serious. Ha 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 ha. The old village chief laughed out loud. He didn't expect that the immortal in front of him who looked up to him would actually accept a disciple here. Zhang has hope. Li Qingyun also smiled. He didn't expect that this little ghost who suddenly appeared and threw stones at him would eventually save him. Otherwise, he really didn't know whether he could complete the task in the next 3 days. The old village chief went over and rubbed the black ghost's head fiercely. Pinyin, why don't you kneel down and kowtow to see the master? I won't. The black ghost actually refused. Grandpa village chief, he just bullied you, that the old village chief said anxiously. What do you know, little ghost? Your master is joking with Grandpa. The little ghost turned his head and looked at Li Qingyun seriously. Really? Li Qingyun nodded. The little ghost knelt down and kowtowed 3 times quickly. Pinyin greets master. Li Qingyun laughed. The little ghost was really clever. He took out a small white Taoist robe from his hand and said, Come, master will give you a gift. As soon as he finished speaking, Li Qingyun lifted Sun Pinyin up with his spiritual power, gently removed the dirt on his body that had not been washed for many days, revealing the healthy skin color of a normal child, and then put a Taoist robe on him. In a short moment, Sun Pinyin transformed from a dirty black coal into a clean little Taoist image. Feeling that the people around him were staring at him, he felt a little uncomfortable, blushing and scratching his head awkwardly. The old village chief quickly slapped his hand away. Why don't you thank the master for the clothes? Oh. Sun Pinyin blinked his eyes, suddenly realized, and said in a childish voice, Thank you, master, for the clothes. Ding, the system's first task is completed, and the host is saved from death. Reward, yellow level lower grade spirit gathering array, reward, 25 talent points. Recruit 6-star geniuses into the sect, and an additional 60 talent points. Chapter 3 The current situation of the sect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Pinyin is not from Zhang, right? Li Qingyun asked. This immortal chief is indeed as wise as a torch. The old village chief marveled. 11 years ago, I found him at the well in the village. At that time, the child was dying. He only had a jade plaque engraved with peace, so I named him Pinyin. Don't you have a last name? No, without the blood of our Wang family, the elders would not agree to include Pinyin in the family tree, so they kept calling Pinyin Pinyin. Li Qingyun looked at the young boy who was surrounded by a group of children and suddenly became shy, and murmured, Is it that Sun family? 3 days later, at the foot of Daqing Mountain, Pinyin pulled the old donkey's tail, pulled his legs to the ground, and whined for mercy. Master, can you rest for a while? Pinyin can't walk anymore. No, we'll be home soon. Li Qingyun tugged at the stopped old donkey. The old donkey understood, no longer hesitated, and continued to walk forward. Pinyin slipped behind the donkey's tail and pulled him up. Whoa, clothes for things, but Li Qingyun knew in his heart that this guy was very slippery, he was always cheating on him, and he didn't know how many times he had pretended to cry. Master, why aren't you tired? Seeing that pretending to cry didn't work, Pingyan finally understood and asked a crucial question. Li Qingyun smiled proudly and thought to himself that he was originally planning to teach you this lesson when he returned to the sect, but he didn't expect that he would take the initiative to ask now. Keep it secret. Pingyan let go of the donkey's tail, followed Li Qingyun on his short legs, pulled the corner of Li Qingyun's clothes, blinked his big eyes and asked pitifully, Master, Master, just tell me. Then tell me why Master told you. Pingyan was stunned for a moment, but then his eyes lit up. Master told me that from now on, Pingyan will not be a drag on Master anymore if he goes out with Master. That makes sense. Hee. Pingyan scratched his head. But keep it secret. Profound. Pingyan stopped talking and just walked silently behind Li Qingyun. Suddenly, Li Qingyun accidentally dropped a book from his body. Oops. Master's secret book has fallen out. Pingyan, help Master pick it up quickly. Pingyan's originally wrinkled little face suddenly opened up, and his gloomy eyes suddenly overflowed with energy. He quickly bent down and grabbed the book on the ground. Master, is this the secret to not getting tired? Pingyan blinked his eyes and swallowed. Yes, Pingyan, do you want to see it? Golu. I didn't want to. Pingyan swallowed loudly. Pingyan is so good, help me, Master, to keep it well. Profound. Master. After another long while, Pingyan's probing voice sounded again, this secret must be very powerful, right? Whether it's powerful or not, won't you know if you look at Pingyan? Ha. You can see Pingyan if you want. Really? Of course it's true. Li Qingyun chuckled. Pingyan said excitedly, thank you, Master. Thank you, Master. Pingyan will practice hard and be filial to Master in the future. Ha ha ha, let's get on the donkey safely. We are going home. Qingshan is hundreds of miles away from Xuanhuan. In other words, in this month, Li Qingyun walked hundreds of miles from Qingshan just to find two geniuses who were destined to him. Li Qingyun calculated that he would find a village with relatively abundant spiritual energy in basically 3 days. In this month, he visited 10 villages and met 500 young people of school age, but in the end, only 2 people reached the system standard. One was the eldest disciple who was received from the beginning, 16-year-old Sun Liang, and the other was this disciple, Xiao Pingyan, who was only 12 years old. The gate of Qingshan Sect has arrived. Li Qingyun touched the old donkey's neck and said, Old donkey, it's been a hard journey. The old donkey rubbed Li Qingyun's hand in response. The gate of the Qingshan Sect is a bit dilapidated. In front of the door there is an old man in linen clothes who is concentrating on sweeping the fallen leaves on the ground. Uncle Lu. I'm back. That only then did Uncle Lu react. Oh. The sect leader is back. Li Qingyun said loudly, yes. I just came back. I even accepted a disciple. Uncle Lu's ears have never been very good, and they are good and bad at times. It is an old problem, so Li Qingyun must use shouting to talk to him. Oh. By the way, Master, Miss Yi is here. Ah. Li Qingyun raised his eyebrows. Why is she here? How long have you been waiting, Uncle Lu? Uncle Lu concentrated on sweeping the floor. Li Qingyun hurriedly entered the door and rushed to the main hall. There are several old pine trees in the courtyard, and 3 birds are chirping on the trees. There were 6 steps in front of the living room. As soon as Li Qingyun stepped up the steps, he saw a pair of long legs under the table in the middle of the living room that made him tremble. The long legs are placed neatly under the table. Looking up, you can see the aqua blue skirt, which is attached to the thigh on the knee. A little more thigh will make you fatter, and a little less will make you thinner. Such a beautiful and fragrant, but the scene was not pornographic, making it difficult for Li Qingyun to look away, but he had to force it away. I secretly cried out in my heart, sin, sin. Looking up, he found that the girl in the aqua blue skirt was looking at him with a half smile, and her smiling face made Li Qingyun feel even more thrilling. It was really a beautiful smile. Looking forward to. Li Qingyun, a roar interrupted Li Qingyun's thoughts, but this voice was fierce and angry, not the voice of the long-legged, the girl in the blue skirt. Li Qingyun looked around and found a woman in red standing beside the girl in blue skirt. This woman's appearance was considered to be above average, but she often had a look of disdain under her dull eyebrows, which made Li Qingyun a little uncomfortable. Li Qingyun didn't pay attention to the inexplicable anger of the woman in red, and greeted the two of them. It's really disrespectful that Qingyun didn't greet the two distinguished guests when they arrived. You still know it's disrespectful. Xiaoyu and I have been waiting for you all afternoon. The woman in red sneered and gave Li Qingyun a big roll of her eyes. Senior Sister Lu, I'm really sorry, I went down to accept a disciple. Li Qingyun said humbly. Hey, are you still going down to recruit disciples? Our young sect master finally knows how to repent. He's just pretending. Senior Sister Lu said in a sinister tone. Senior Sister Lu, please stop saying a few words. The light voice was like a sweet breeze. Yi Xiaoyu, the girl in the blue skirt, finally spoke, stopping Senior Sister Lu's unbridled ridicule. Li Qingyun looked towards Yi Xiaoyu, and Yi Xiaoyu looked back at Li Qingyun with eyes like autumn water. Their eyes met, but after a moment, he seemed to have thought of something, his eyes dimmed, and he quickly looked away. Yi Xiaoyu lowered his head and said softly, Qingyun. Sect Master Li, Senior Sister Lu and I are here to help you again. This is also the last time we are here to help you. Oh. Li Qingyun felt Yi Xiaoyu's deliberate alienation. Senior Sister Lu interjected, it's not like Xiaoyu pity you. Tianji Pavilion's 3-year protection period for your Qingshan Sect is about to expire. If you cannot be recognized by Tianji Pavilion by then, you will be directly dealt with as an idle sect, and other sects can annex you at will. You don't even know this, right? Li Qingyun still ignored Senior Sister Lu's impudent tone and nodded. He naturally understood this, since 3 years ago, the parents of Li Qingyun's body died mysteriously, and the trees fell and the hosens scattered. All the elders in the sect left Qingshan Sect with their disciples. The former 3-star sect, Qingshan Sect, was basically useless. Tianji Pavilion, as a special organization on the mainland, started a 3-year protection period for Qingshan Sect in memory of Li Qingyun's parents' past friendship with Tianji Pavilion. This also gave Li Qingyun 3 years to reorganize the sect. However, before Li Qingyun arrived in time travel, the original owner of this body was living in confusion. Even though Yi Xiaoyu and Senior Sister Lu came to help him several times, I was almost disappointed with his decadent attitude. That's why Senior Sister Lu mocked him at the beginning. In Senior Sister Lu's heart, maybe Li Qingyun was already rotten wood and could not be carved. Maybe only Yi Xiaoyu would have a glimmer of hope for him. It's good to understand. Xiaoyu got the news that Wang Ruhai, the shopkeeper of Tianji Pavilion's Shuangliu city branch, will hold a banquet in Zuaxian Tower in 3 days. You will bring some valuable gifts there then, and be sweeter and make you want to be the Qingshan Sect. Tell Wang Ruhai about your idea of restarring and ask him to hand it over to the Dihua city branch. With you as the sect leader in the foundation building period, it will not be difficult to re-evaluate it as a 1-star sect. With the recognition of Tianji Pavilion, we will not be regarded as the Wild Mountain Sect and be wantonly annexed by other sections. When the time comes, you can go into the city to recruit disciples, and you no longer have to go to the village to trick disciples. Even if you are just a low-grade person. Senior Sister Lu. Yi Xiaoyu interrupted Senior Sister Lu again and glanced at Li Qingyun apologetically. Sect leader Li, that's what happened. If there's nothing else, we'll leave first. After saying that, Yi Xiaoyu pulled Senior Sister Lu, who looked dissatisfied, and walked out. Before leaving, Yi Xiaoyu stopped and said, it is really hard for one person to carry a sect. If you don't want to be so tired, you can choose to join the soul-capturing sect. I have already begged Elder Situ on your behalf, and he promised to accept you as a true disciple directly. No need. Li Qingyun was silent for a long time. Li Qingyun still chooses to be self-reliant. Okay, then please take care of yourself, sect leader Li. that what Li Qingyun didn't see was that when he rejected Yi Xiaoyu's invitation to join the soul-capturing sect, Yi Xiaoyu turned his back to him and smiled. His charming smile instantly condensed the air around him. Sure enough, Brother Qingyun finally got up again. I wasn't wrong about him. Okay, then please take care of yourself, sect leader Li. Yi Xiaoyu waved his fist and thought to himself, I look forward to your courage to catch up, sect leader Li. Chapter 4 My dear, my dear. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Master, are you in a bad mood? The thin Sun Liang held the lunch box with both hands and looked into the hall. Don't look, the person has left. Li Qingyun said softly while sitting in the hall. Oh. Sun Liang brought the lunch box to Li Qingyun. Master, if you are in a bad mood, eat something. You will feel better after eating. He reminded Li Qingyun again. Master is not in a bad mood. Li Qingyun said. Master, you are lying. Sun Liang said, and then he opened the lunch box and wanted to serve Li Qingyun. Don't worry, Li Qingyun stopped Sun Liang from serving rice, and said, I brought you a junior brother this time. He is reading a book at the door now. You can bring him here. Really? Sun Liang said. Thank you, master. After saying that, he ran out in a flash. Li Qingyun looked helplessly at the small black dot that disappeared quickly. No matter how good his character was, he was still a teenager after all. As Sun Liang said, Li Qingyun is in a bad mood now, not because the current situation of the sect is not optimistic, he has already considered these and prepared in his heart, but because of what senior sister Lu said. Even if you are just a low grade. Li Qingyun knew that she wanted to say that he was just a foundation-building cultivator with the worst low-grade Dao foundation. The first realm of cultivation is Qi training. After Qi training, you can enter the foundation-building period by condensing the bridge of spiritual energy. Entering the foundation-building period is the beginning of the entire cultivation path, so the foundation of the foundation-building period is crucial. Generally speaking, after a single spiritual root has cultivated enough Qi training to the 12th level, the Dao foundation is generally a low-grade foundation. 3 spiritual veins and 6 spiritual veins have a glimmer of hope to reach a medium-grade Dao foundation. 9 spiritual roots are almost all at least a medium-grade Dao foundation, and stronger earth spiritual roots and heaven spiritual roots may reach a super-grade Dao foundation, or even the legendary, perfect Dao foundation. As for Li Qingyun's miserable body, he still had 6 spirit veins that were barely acceptable during the Qi training period, but when he was building his foundation, because the sect had gone bankrupt and there were no resources to support him, he only reached the worst. Low-grade Dao foundation, the sect was ruined, but this system could slowly restore it, but his foundation for cultivation was too poor, and it could never be made up, and it would become his eternal shortcoming. Alas, not to mention the high-grade Dao foundation, it would be better if he had a medium-grade Dao foundation now, so that he could at least fight against other sect elders and grab territory. Ding, this operation will cost 50 talent points, do you confirm to proceed? The system's voice suddenly sounded. Ah. What are you doing? Li Qingyun asked in confusion. Spend 50 days of talent points to upgrade the host's low-grade foundation building to a medium-grade foundation building. Do you confirm to proceed? Li Qingyun. He suddenly jumped up from the chair. Good baby. Good baby. Upgrade. Upgrade. Preparing to upgrade. Li Qingyun quickly crossed his legs and meditated on the spot, looking inward at the spiritual bridge in his body. There were 3 blue arcs in his dantian, and the arcs were like several bridges, with form but no substance. These were the spiritual bridges. The 3 spiritual bridges were rapidly absorbing and decomposing the spiritual power running around him. After entering the foundation building, these 3 bridges actually became the water pumps that activated Li Qingyun's spiritual power. The source of power all depended on these 3 spiritual bridges. Li Qingyun stared at these 3 spiritual bridges. With just these 3 bridges, he was already countless times stronger than when he was practicing Qi. If he upgraded to 6, his total spiritual power and even the efficiency of calling spiritual power would be greatly improved. Buzz. Begin to improve. Li Qingyun's pores suddenly began to heat up, and countless spiritual energy rushed into his body frantically. He felt that he had become a bottomless pit of spiritual energy at this moment, and his absorption of spiritual energy was unprecedentedly smooth. The spiritual energy was injected into the body and quickly filled the 3 spiritual energy bridges, but the remaining spiritual energy did not leave. Instead, it turned into a fierce spiritual tide and hit the 3 spiritual energy bridges fiercely. What kind of operation is this? Li Qingyun was shocked. Wouldn't he die if he did this? If he also crashed these 3 bridges, it would be all over. But it was too late for him to stop at this time. The spiritual energy bridge was hit violently, causing Li Qingyun's body and even his mind to feel pain like being torn apart. This pain was like a needle piercing his whole body, and it was the kind of long array that penetrated the body. Every inch and every particle of the body was in pain. Finally, the 3 spiritual energy bridges slowly deformed and split under the fierce impact, and each one turned into 2. The 3 spiritual energy bridges became 6. As the 6 spiritual bridges appeared, Li Qingyun's pain quickly retreated, leaving him sitting weakly on the ground. Upgrade successful. Additional cultivation value increased by 50. Host qualifications, cultivation value, 250, peak of the initial stage of foundation building, spiritual roots, 6 spiritual roots, foundation building, middle grade Tao foundation, genius points, 35. At this time, Sun Liang dragged Ping An's hand and entered the hall. Seeing Li Qingyun sitting on the ground like a faint, he rushed over. Master, what's wrong with you? Are you injured? Sun Liang helped Li Qingyun up and asked in a sharp voice. It's okay, Master is fine. Li Qingyun showed a tired and satisfied smile on his face. Sun Liang said, Huh. Master, your mood has become better again. Ha ha ha, yes, Master is in a good mood. Go and call Lu Bo and Lao Lu. Master is going to hold a sect meeting. Oh. Good. Sun Liang was sweating and rushed out in a hurry, and Ping An, Li Qingyun looked at him helplessly. He was still holding the Qi training chapter and reading it. Cheers. 4 wine bowls hit a huge wine basin used by an old donkey, a headmaster and teacher, a diligent senior brother who did not forget to pour wine for everyone, a second junior brother who read a book with one hand and impatiently drank with the other, an old man who was not very good at hearing and a donkey, 4 people, a donkey, and a table of simple food, held the first sect meeting of Qingshan Sect. Many years later, when others heard the name of Qingshan Sect again, no one would believe that the few people who later became famous actually held this historic meeting so casually. Of course, even these people involved would not have thought that their future achievements would be so high. Ding, complete the first sect meeting, reward 10 days of talent points. Li Qingyun, who was reaching for food, trembled and encouraged himself, I must work hard to build the sect. Sun Liang nodded fiercely at Li Qingyun, yes, master. Ping An, who was looking down at the Qi training chapter, was also nonchalant, and echoed in a baby voice, yes, master. Lu Bo slowly put the rice into his mouth and didn't hear it. The old donkey was still gulping down the wine in the big basin. Li Qingyun was helpless. It seemed that Sun Liang was the only sensible person in the whole sect. Ding, the second task, quickly take back the industry that originally belonged to Qingshan Sect near Daqing Mountain, and strengthen the economic strength of the sect. Task reward, comprehensively renovate the sect's main hall and gate, and reward genius points according to the completion of the task. Tip, if you recruit a manager who can manage the sect's industry during the task, the reward will be doubled. Failure penalty, take back the previously awarded lower grade yellow level spirit gathering array. Take back the spirit gathering array. That won't work. Li Qingyun hurriedly stood up and ran to the back mountain of the sect, and chose the largest area in the sect, the location of the disciples' cave area. Hurry up and set up the spirit gathering array. System. Even if it is set up, it can be taken back. Li Qingyun said, then hurry up and set it up. System, setting up. The huge cave area was covered with a layer of blue light curtain at this time, and it was unclear what was happening inside. Li Qingyun only felt that the vitality of heaven and earth was very strangely distorted at this location, and finally injected into this area from above, making the concentration and vitality of spiritual energy in this area several times higher than other places. The transformation is complete. The cave is divided into 3 areas, the core area, the upper area, the middle area, and the lower area. The quality of spiritual energy is increased by 30 times, 10 times, 5 times, and 3 times respectively. The transformation area is 500 acres. Wait a minute, system, can I ask how many star sects usually have a yellow grade lower grade spirit gathering array? System, because the spirit gathering array is relatively large, generally 5-star sects and above will start to build a yellow grade lower grade spirit gathering array, but what? As large as 500 acres, it is estimated that at least 6-star sects can build it. Li Qingyun said, Humph, it's only a 6-star sect. Our Qingshan Sect is going to become the strongest sect in history. This is what you said. Have you forgotten it now? System. It's not easy to see the system suffer a setback. Li Qingyun was proud in his heart, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up. You ghost system, you make things difficult for this sect master every day, and you said you want to destroy me? Huh. You still settle accounts with this sect master so clearly. Now you know how powerful this sect master is, right? Hint, a 500-acre yellow-grade lower-grade spirit gathering array requires at least 5,000 lower-grade spirit stones per day. Li Qingyun, *UN %UN #at. Chapter 5 I am here to bully you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day, Xuanhuan City, Li Qingyun was holding a dirty old donkey, wearing a spotless Taoist robe, and walking openly on the street, not caring about the sideways glances of people on the street, although according to Yi Xiaoyu, the application was submitted to Tianji Pavilion through Xuanhuan City Commercial Bank, with his own sect leader in the foundation building period. There would be no big problem in being re-evaluated as a 1-star sect, but Li Qingyun knew in his heart that the conditions of Qingshan Sect were actually somewhat different from those of 1-star sections. If he wanted to be rated as a 1-star sect, he still had to rely on Xuanhuan City Commercial Bank and look at the face of shopkeeper Wang Ruhai, and Li Qingyun is a person who doesn't like to look at other people's faces, or in other words, no one likes to look at other people's faces. The sex industry also represents the sex strength to a certain extent. If Li Qingyun can take back the sex industry, then based on the industrial scale of the original 3-star sect, the strength of the Qingshan sect can fully reach the level of a 1-star sect. You can legitimately be promoted to a 1-star sect. On the other hand, since the system also releases tasks in this way, Li Qingyun, a person who has already received the benefits of the system, will certainly not miss the generous rewards of system tasks. Any spiritual field is cultivated inch by a sect through hard work. 3 years ago, the Qingshan sect had 30 acres of spiritual fields, which could grow most first-grade elixirs or spiritual foods, bringing a steady supply of spiritual stones to the sect. However, in the accident 3 years ago, the tree fell and the hosens dispersed. Feng, the manager of the sex industry, betrayed the sect with the sex industry at the most difficult moment of the sect. Thinking of this, Li Qingyun, who was walking on the street and was originally calm, also flashed a ruthless look on his face. If Feng hadn't left with the industry, he would not have been left without resources to build a foundation. In the end, he was expected to be top grade. Doji has become the worst field for low-grade foundation building. Feng likes to watch people on the street the most, especially when he is sitting on the 5th floor of Xuanhuan building and watching from a high position. This will make him feel like he is above and overlooking the mortals below. He is a cultivator, so of course he has to look down on mortals like ants. Master Feng, the 3-year protection period is coming soon. Have you still not made a decision? The assistant's voice came from behind Feng Chuan. Feng Chuan did not look back. I have already made a decision in my heart. Did you choose the soul capture sect in the end? The assistant asked. 3-year protection period. Feng Chuan said, I have already obtained enough oil and water. After all, these 30 acres of spiritual land are not something I, a monk in the early stage of foundation building, can bear. When Tianji Pavilion's 3-year protection period for the Qingshan Sect is up, if we don't find a good home, we will probably lose even more bones than the surrounding sects. It turns out that Tianji Pavilion's protection of the Qingshan Sect also included the protection of the Qingshan Sect's industry. Feng Chuan took advantage of Tianji Pavilion's affection for the Qingshan Sect and quietly made a fortune. I have already contacted Elder Situ of the Soul Capture Sect. Although his conditions are harsh, they do not deny me a way to survive. The assistant asked, then why didn't you choose the Qingshan Sect? By returning these spiritual fields to the Qingshan Sect, you still have actual control over these spiritual fields. Feng Chuan turned around and looked at his assistant. The assistant's name is Lin Jixiao. He is young and of medium height. He wears short gray clothes and exudes a smart aura. He has been helping me for more than a year. He patted Lin Jixiao on the shoulder. Jixiao, you are still young and don't understand many things. Once the 3-year protection period is over, with the virtue of that good-for-nothing Li Qingyun from the Qingshan Sect, it is estimated that even the 1-star sect will not apply for it. By then, not to mention the sect's property, even his mountain sect will have to be occupied by the soul-calling sect. Go. Lin Jixiao said, is that Li Qingyun really that unbearable? Do you know him? Feng Chuan asked. I've heard a little about it. Lin Jixiao said, it is said that he is about the same age as me, but his cultivation level is much faster than mine. He has already reached the foundation building stage. 3 years ago, he was already at the 12th level of Qi training. He broke through the foundation building 2 years ago. It's a pity. Feng Chuan sneered, it's a pity that this unlucky sect leader who used to have good talents forced a breakthrough and had no resources. Auxiliary, only a low-grade doji. This. Of course, even though the foundation of a low-grade Taoist foundation is very poor, they can still be regarded as foundation-building monks. I was also a low-grade Taoist foundation builder back then, but now I have different achievements. The most disappointing thing about that kid is his incorrigible character. Cowardly, soft-hearted, unwilling to make progress and timid. Feng Chuan looked out the window and said lightly, he is just a loser. Ding, ding ding ding. At this moment, a crisp sound of copper bells came from the street outside the window. Feng Chuan looked down and saw that it was a little Taoist priest leading an ugly donkey passing by on the street. The little Taoist priest seemed to feel something. He looked upstairs with a half-smile, and looked at Feng Chuan. Feng Chuan murmured, why does this little Taoist priest look so familiar? But the sound of the bell was getting smaller and smaller, as if it was getting further and further away from him, so he stopped thinking about it. He came back to his senses and looked at Lin Jixiao. Then he continued what he said just now and said, in short, it is impossible for me to believe Li Qingyun. Boom. A loud noise came from downstairs, then boom. 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 3 loud noises were heard. Along with the loud noises, the entire restaurant also experienced 3 heart-stopping vibrations. What happened? Feng Chuan could no longer remain calm and ran out like a madman, running to the 1st and 2nd floors. I found that the restaurant, which was originally decorated luxuriously, had been torn down into pieces of wooden boards except for the pillars that kept it stable, and it was in ruins. My restaurant. Who did it? Feng Chuan's eyes were about to burst. At this time, a faint voice came from the door, me. You. Feng Chuan looked in the direction of the voice, and it was the person who looked like a little Taoist priest just now. Who are you? Who am I? Li Qingyun sneered, the one who came to bully you. Before he finished speaking, Li Qingyun rushed over with a gust of wind. Feng Chuan turned sideways and dodged to the side, avoiding Li Qingyun's attack. He said, little Taoist priest, you dare to come here with such a little ability. Bang! Li Qingyun punched the stairs on the 3rd floor. The stairs on the 3rd floor also collapsed. Don't get me wrong, that punch just now was just to tear down your stairs. Li Qingyun said with a smile, tear down your restaurant, and then I'll deal with you. Bang! 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 Li Qingyun pinched his fingers and sent out dozens of strong winds, and in a blink of an eye, he tore down everything on the third and fourth floors, from the first to the fourth floors of Xuanhuan, except for the pillars. Even the floor slabs were torn down, leaving a broken building frame. At this time, many pedestrians gathered at the door of the restaurant to watch the excitement. Xuanhuan was also a top-ranked restaurant in Xuanhuan City. Today's situation was obviously that the boss had provoked an enemy and came here to seek revenge, but I don't know who this enemy is. After demolishing the restaurant, Li Qingyun grinned at Feng Chuan. Feng Chuan's eyes were red, his body was shaking slightly, and he couldn't say a word. This little Taoist priest, whom he didn't know, came to demolish his restaurant without knowing the truth. This person's ability to control spiritual power has reached the level of releasing spiritual power, and Feng Chuan is definitely not his opponent. This feeling of being ridden on the head by someone, but being powerless, is the most devastating, and humiliation and powerlessness fill his mind. Feng Chuan roared. What kind of hatred do I, Feng Chuan, have with you that makes you treat me like this? It was still a faint, indifferent voice. There is no hatred, I just come to bully you. The people outside the door were also talking at this time. Could it be that this little Taoist priest is really looking for trouble? It doesn't seem like it. Then why is this person so excessive? Does shopkeeper Wang really have a grudge with others? You don't know, shopkeeper Wang and Qingshan Sect had a big fuss back then. Chapter 6, Special Talents Are Good at Business. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Are you someone invited by Qingshan Sect? Feng Chuan seemed to suddenly think of the grudge between him and Qingshan Sect. No matter what, he could not imagine that the powerful and cold-hearted boy in front of him was the coward who he did not want to look at 3 years ago. He could only think that this person was invited by Qingshan Sect. Li Qingyun walked to Feng Chuan step by step, looking at Feng Chuan with interest, but did not say a word. I, Feng Chuan, did leave Qingshan Sect and become my own sect. Bang! Li Qingyun kicked Feng Chuan, who was standing on the ground. Say it again. I. Feng Chuan swallowed his saliva. He felt the murderous aura from the little Taoist priest just now. He did not doubt that the little Taoist priest would kill him. I, Feng Chuan, betrayed Qingshan Sect back then. Do you know you are wrong? Li Qingyun squatted down, looking at Feng Chuan, who was kicked by him and could not stand up, and patted his face gently with his hand. Wrong, wrong. For the sake of our past friendship, I can spare you. Li Qingyun used his spiritual power to seal Feng Chuan, and reached out to pull out a small red token from his arms. But I want to take back what originally belonged to me. Feng Chuan's eyes widened, and he tried to open his mouth to say something, but because his body was sealed by spiritual power, he couldn't say a word. Yes, it's me, the coward you mentioned. Li Qingyun leaned close to Feng Chuan's ear and said, but you can't even take one of my moves. I think you are the coward. Feng Chuan's head tilted, and he fainted from anger. Li Qingyun stood up, looked at the crowd watching the excitement outside the door, and said, Go away, shopkeeper Wang owed me a gambling debt for 3 years, I'm here to collect the debt. Oh, the crowd suddenly realized. I was just saying, why would you smash his restaurant for no reason? TSK, I didn't expect that this shopkeeper Wang, who used to be so high and mighty, actually likes gambling. You don't know this, I heard. Li Qingyun shook his head, went out to greet the old donkey who was dozing in the stable, and silently set out on the way back. He just used a nearly crazy way of venting to retaliate against Feng Chuan, smashing his restaurant, stepping on him, and taking back the sex industry. This was the first time he did this. Whether in his previous life or this life, Li Qingyun was a kind and good person, but now he seemed to understand that if he wanted to stand firm in this world where the strong are respected, he had to use some means. For those shameless people, thunderous means must be used. Today, it was just a fight without bloodshed. When the day comes when I need to kill someone myself, I must also act decisively and not be soft-hearted. otherwise, the one who is ridden on the head and dies is me." In Li Qingyun's memory, Feng Chuan was dirty and arrogant when he left the sect. Today, he was embarrassed and had to behave himself, which was also a punishment for him. Master Li. Just when Li Qingyun was thinking about it, a hurried call suddenly came from behind. Li Qingyun pulled the old donkey, turned around and saw a young man of the same age chasing him breathlessly. "Master Li, I am Feng Chuan's assistant, my name is Lin Jixiao, please give me a chance." Lin Jixiao said excitedly. "Oh, it's you." Li Qingyun listened to the conversation between Feng Chuan and Lin Jixiao at the bottom of Zuaxian Tower, and still remembered Lin Jixiao. Name, Lin Jixiao. Age, 19. Qualifications, 3 spiritual veins, root bone 3, comprehension 5, blessing 3, character 6, total score 17. Cultivation, Qi training level 3. Star level, special talent, good at business activities management. "I admire you very much," Lin Jixiao said. "You were so handsome just now." Li Qingyun took out the red token from his arms. "Then I'll give you a chance. I'm impressed by your ability, not because you praised me for being handsome." Lin Jixiao nodded fiercely. A handsome man like Sect Master Li doesn't need to be praised at all. "Well, cough cough," Li Qingyun said, "don't brag about me anymore. The token is for you." Ding, the task of taking back the sect's industry is completed. The task rewards 50 genius points. Since professional talents who manage the industry have been recruited, the reward is doubled. A total of 100 genius points are awarded. Obtain the qualification to renovate the sect's gate and hall once. 100 points, done. By the way, Sect Master Li. Lin Jixiao suddenly remembered something, took out an emerald green ring from his bosom, and said, "This is the birthday gift that Feng Chuan is going to give to Wang Ruhai." "What is this?" Li Qingyun took the beautiful ring and asked with some doubt. "Don't underestimate this ring. It has a space of 10 feet in it, which can be used for storage." Lin Jixiao said. "Storage ring?" Li Qingyun said. Lin Jixiao said, "That's right. This is a storage ring of high quality. Feng Chuan spent a lot of money to let me go to Dihua City to buy it. It's very expensive, it is said, because Feng Chuan wants to ask Wang Ruhai for a big thing at this birthday banquet." "What big thing?" "I'm not sure about this." "Okay." Li Qingyun put away the storage ring. He was originally worried about what gift to give to Wang Ruhai, but now he has a ready-made one. Nothing to do. Go and sort out the sect's industries and send them to me in 2 days. Yes. Lin Jixiao said. After that, he stopped dragging his feet and turned back to the restaurant. Li Qingyun gave the sect's spirit field token directly to Lin Jixiao without any worry. Because he knew that a capable and ambitious young man like Lin Jixiao was always waiting for an opportunity, and he would not give up his bright future because of a little temptation. Moreover, Lin Jixiao was not a foundation-building cultivator like Feng Chuan, but just a Qi training cultivator. He could not make any waves in his hands. He was smart enough to know that only Li Qingyun could protect him. He turned back to Qingshan Sect. This time, he went to find Feng Chuan to get his property back, which suddenly gave him a bad premonition. Feng Chuan had secretly colluded with Situ. Lin Jixiao narrowed his eyes slightly. Situ Quan was different from Feng Chuan. Situ Quan was originally the great elder of Qingshan Sect, the right-hand man of Li Qingyun's father, and the second person in Qingshan Sect, but after the incident in Qingshan Sect, if Feng Chuan was just a treacherous betrayal, then Situ Quan was completely taking advantage of the situation. As the great elder, he brought all the resources and people he could take away, and joined the soul-seizing sect collectively. He even ruthlessly suppressed and killed all those who resisted him. Li Qingyun was just venting and retaliating against Feng Chuan, but for Situ Quan, Li Qingyun would never be merciful and would kill him as soon as possible. What did the two of them want to plot by colluding? Especially in this critical period when the protection period of Qingshan Sect is about to end? Will Wang Ruhai's birthday banquet in 2 days really be that simple? Li Qingyun took a deep breath. It would definitely not be simple to be involved with Xuanhuan, an old man. He must use the remaining 145 genius points to maximize his own enhancement. Chapter 7, Entry-Level Kung Fu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It takes 200 genius points to upgrade the middle grade Dao base to the upper grade Dao base, and the host does not have enough genius points. Times degree times Google search reading 0.200 points. Li Qingyun only has 145 points now, and there is still a gap from 200 points. According to the current task progress, Li Qingyun may only need one task to get another 55 points, so that he can accumulate 200 genius points and upgrade his middle grade Dao base to the upper grade Dao base, but Li Qingyun did not plan to do so. Before attending Wang Ruhai's banquet, he must maximize his strength. After all, no one knows what will happen at this banquet that makes him upset. Be prepared, so as not to worry. Just as Li Qingyun was thinking about how to improve himself, Pingyan walked in from the door shyly. Master! Master, good evening. Pingyan put his hands behind his back, rubbing his feet constantly, and twisting his legs together like twisted knots. Li Qingyun saw Pingyan's shy attitude and wondered, Pingyan, what do you want to talk to me about? Master! I have finished reading Qi training chapter. Not bad, Pingyan is awesome. Did this kid come here just to ask for praise? But his reading speed is indeed too fast, which deserves praise. That. Pingyan said, it is said in Qi training chapter that it is best to choose an entry-level technique to practice. Pingyan asked pitifully, Master, can you give Pingyan an entry-level technique? Pingyan also wants to start practicing. Li Qingyun was stunned. An entry-level technique? That is something that only sects with deep heritage have. Even the Qingshan Sect in the past did not have an entry-level technique. Although the sect-stabilizing technique Qingshan Ju is powerful and comparable to an entry-level technique, it still lacks a lot compared to an entry-level technique. The most important thing is that it lacks a key thing, that is, secret method. The entry-level skills can not only increase the speed of cultivation, but also enable beginners to master the secret method. It is said that the power of the secret method is enough to enable people to cross the level to fight against enemies. Alas, Qingshan Sect does not have this kind of skills. Li Qingyun looked at Pingyan's expectant eyes. Poor little Pingyan, the master does not have such a good thing to give you. I am really sorry for you. If only Qingshan Ju was an entry-level skill. Ding, this operation will cost 100 talent points. Do you want to continue? Li Qingyun. Can it be like this? According to the deduction of this system, there are more than 1,000 loopholes in Qingshan Ju. If 30 loopholes are repaired, a secret method can be generated and it can be advanced to a lower grade yellow level technique. Do you want to continue? Of course. Repairing. 10%, 30%, 60%, 90%, 95%, 96%, 97%, 98%, 99%, 1%. Repair completed. As the system was repaired, Li Qingyun found that his understanding of Qingyun Ju was actually deepening. He had his own understanding of some loopholes in the technique, and his mastery ability also changed from entry level to minor success. Moreover, a more complex and sophisticated move than all the moves he had learned before was gradually understood by Li Qingyun. This move was the secret of the entry-level technique. The name of this secret was Qingshan. Host qualification, cultivation value, 250, early foundation peak, spiritual roots, 6 spiritual roots, foundation, middle grade foundation, Kung Fu, Qingyun Ju yellow rank lower, genius points, 45. Pingyan held his breath when he saw a small yellow book in Li Qingyun's hand. Master is really amazing. He is simply omnipotent. Thank you, Master. Pingyan rushed forward, grabbed the book in Li Qingyun's hand, and ran out. It seems that he will read it all night again. Li Qingyun shook his head. He regarded learning as happiness and never tired of it. Maybe this is called learning ability, this is talent. Remember to read it with your senior brother. Okay, Pingyan has run away. Shuangliu City, Lu family, several young people are sitting around a table chatting about something. I heard that Elder Situ will send someone to attend Wang Ruhai's birthday banquet. Someone brought up the topic. This is a woman with dull eyebrows. It was Senior Sister Lu who came to Qingshan Sect a few days ago. Oh. Is Wang Ruhai so important? A young man in a gorgeous thick robe replied, obviously very interested. Of course, he is in charge of the business of Tianji Pavilion in Xuanhuan City. He is worthy of being the Grand Elder of the soul-snatching sect and has sent someone here. Another young man said. He. Senior Sister Lu smiled. These two people were obviously not the target of her topic. She was glancing at the fourth person. The man's name was Zhang Tiankui. As his name suggests, he was extremely burly. His body almost took up the space of 3 people. He was the strongest among the 4 people, but he was obviously not interested in such a serious topic. He just nodded and agreed with everyone. Senior Sister Lu said, speaking of Xuanhuan City, this city used to be the sphere of influence of Qingshan Sect. How is it related to our Grand Elder now? That the young man in a thick robe said, although my cousin is a member of the soul-snatching sect, she may not know about this matter. The Qingshan Sect has been in dire straits since the big change 3 years ago, and has lost its status as a sect. It is now under the protection of Tianji Pavilion, so it naturally does not dare to interfere in the affairs of Xuanhuan City. So in recent years, all the good talents in Xuanhuan City have actually gone to the soul-capturing sect. Many business firms have actually cooperated with the soul-capturing sect. So it is normal for the great elder of the soul-calling sect to have a close relationship with Wang Ruhai. That's it. Senior Sister Lu nodded. As a member of the soul capture sect who left the Qingshan Sect 3 years ago, how could she not know this? She only asked these words to bring up a topic. Do you know Li Qingyun? Oh. Does Senior Sister Lu know anything about Li Qingyun? Senior Sister Lu said, of course I understand. I went to Qingshan Sect with Yi Xiaoyu 2 days ago. The fourth person who was originally careless suddenly opened his eyes when he heard Yi Xiaoyu's name and looked at Senior Sister Lu. Seeing this man finally reacting, Senior Sister Lu said, Yi Xiaoyu missed his old friendship and begged me to go up the mountain to persuade Li Qingyun with him. I didn't expect that Li Qingyun was so ignorant. He first shamelessly asked us to join the soul-capturing sect, but Xiaoyu refused. I didn't expect that Li Qingyun became so angry that he became so embarrassed, and then. Senior Sister Lu looked at Zhang Tiankui with a look of embarrassment. Zhang Tiankui said anxiously, what happened next? Lu Xian, please finish what you said. Lu Xian felt a twinge of jealousy in her heart when she saw how Zhang Tiankui was so anxious that he was so anxious when he mentioned Yi Xiaoyu, but on his face, he said aggrievedly, as you know, Li Qingyun is 1 year older than me, and he broke through the foundation a few years ago because of an unstable foundation. We are not his opponent. What's going on? Zhang Tiankui was so anxious that he stood up. Li Qingyun, he actually touched Xiaoyu. There's nothing I can do. Lu Xian covered her face and cried. Humph. Zhang Tiankui roared angrily and punched the chessboard in front of him. The chessboard was suddenly shattered into pieces. Lu Xian continued to cry, Tiankui, don't be angry. I invited you here today just to tell you this. In order to save face for that beastly Qingyun, and for the sake of his own reputation, Xiaoyu dare not say anything. She looked at Zhang Tiankui, who had blood-red eyes and bulging muscles all over his body, and felt a burst of joy in her heart. A simple-minded person with well-developed limbs still wants to pursue Yi Xiaoyu. At the same time, jealousy spread in my heart. What kind of magic does that little goblin Yi Xiaoyu have that makes so many men devote themselves to her? Zhang Tiankui suppressed his anger and said in a hoarse voice, take me to Qingshan Sect. In his heart, Yi Xiaoyu is his goddess. Although he cannot get her, he will never allow others to disrespect her in the slightest. Tiankui, don't worry. Lu Xian came over and grabbed Zhang Tiankui. Although you are very strong, it would be too reckless to hit him directly at the mountain gate. We have to take a long-term plan. 2 days later, at Wang Ruhai's birthday banquet. Then Xiaoyu will also participate. Maybe Xiaoyu will be impressed by you. Chapter 8 Feng Yong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Kaiwansai is the largest restaurant in Xuanhuan City. It is a 9-story wooden structure with pavilions, carved beams and painted buildings. It is usually the envy of ordinary people and a high-end place that even the nobles rarely visit, but today, Kaiwansai refused to accept outsiders because the whole restaurant was booked by one person, which made the surrounding residents and pedestrians feel very strange. Who could book the whole restaurant? Feng Yong is the errand consul of Kaiwansai. Others don't know which big shot booked the restaurant, but he knows it clearly. But what's the use of knowing it? He receives high-level guests every day, so he naturally knows more about these secrets that ordinary residents around him don't know. The birthday banquet started in the evening, but from morning to this afternoon, the guests entering the restaurant have not stopped. Those guests are either rich or noble. To order people to take their carriages to another courtyard and place them there, and to let them line up at ease behind, sometimes some tricks are needed. Even though he was a clerk and had the strength of the 4th level of Qi training, he was already busy and overwhelmed. Moreover, it was very annoying that there were people who came here to cheat. For example, at the end of the guests, there was a young Taoist priest leading a donkey. Although the Taoist priest looked clean, the donkey was of poor quality and did not look like a person of status. Moreover, the donkey was dirty, which would affect the mood of the guests in line around him. He turned around and called a clever little servant, "Go, send that young Taoist priest away." The servant ran over and came back after a while. "Boss," the Taoist priest refused to listen to the advice and insisted that he was here to attend the birthday banquet. Feng Yong waved his hand and asked the servant to leave. Just in case, he would go and see it himself. After approaching, Feng Yong found that the young Taoist priest was about the same age as himself, but he was not a swindler as he imagined. On the contrary, he looked very elegant. As a person who received guests at the door all day, Feng Yong had his own way of identifying people. He felt that the young Taoist priest in front of him seemed to be a little similar to the big shots he had seen. Feng Yong asked, "This Taoist priest, may I ask if you are from the Soul Capture sect?" The Taoist said, "No." Feng Yong asked again, "Then are you from another one-star immortal sect?" The Taoist thought for a moment and said, "No." Feng Yong asked again, "Then do you have an invitation letter from Xuanhuan Trading Company?" "No." "Then you still want to attend the banquet?" "Yes." Ding, a special type is found. Name, Feng Yong. Age, 19. Qualifications, 3 spiritual veins, root bone 3, comprehension 4, fortune 2, heart 6, total score 15. Cultivation, Qi training level 4. Star rating, special talent, good at reception and communication, suitable for arranging to receive guests in a sect hall. Accept this person and reward 20 talent points. Li Qingyun looked at Feng Yong, who was silent in front of him. He wanted to see how Feng Yong would deal with his difficult guest. As far as he knew, there were 2 ways to enter Wang Ruhai's birthday banquet. The first was for regular guests, who could enter by showing their invitations directly. The second was for guests who were visiting, who had to pay a gift of 2 lower-grade spirit stones, which was a ticket, before they could enter. Li Qingyun's current image was that he had no invitation letter, and his clothes and appearance did not look like someone who could afford 2 spirit stones, but he insisted on entering the birthday banquet. How would Feng Yong deal with him? Would he just ask someone to drive him away? Could he see that he was a difficult person? Feng Yong hesitated for a moment, leaned close to Li Qingyun's ear, and whispered, "I can take you in, but you have to keep it a secret for me." "Huh?" He actually let him in. After saying this, Feng Yong said loudly, "Master, it's you, please come in." When others saw that the servants knew this man, they stopped asking questions, and the suspicion in their eyes gradually disappeared. Seeing this, Li Qingyun had no choice but to follow Feng Yong. Feng Yong led Li Qingyun all the way and sat at a small table in the corner of the first floor. He gave up his seat to Li Qingyun and the two sat on both sides of the table. Feng Yong said, "Master, I am Feng Yong. Everyone has times of hardship. Feng Yong has also suffered hardship, so I can understand Master's state. You insist on entering Kaiwansai. I believe you must have your reasons." Feng Yong will not ask too much. Feng Yong can only do his best to bring you in. Feng Yong can't help you with anything else. Just a reminder to you, whether you are looking for someone, looking for relatives, or just want to come here to eat something good, remember, just stay on the next floor, and don't go above the 3rd floor. Above the 3rd floor are all the children of big families and immortal sections. If we provoke them, ordinary people like us will end up miserably. After saying this, without waiting for Li Qingyun to answer, Feng Yong stood up silently and returned to the door of the restaurant to continue to greet guests. Li Qingyun looked at Feng Yong, who was leaving, and touched his chin. This guy is quite capable, although it makes me feel comfortable, but why do I feel that this guy thinks so lowly of me? Could it be that this guy receives guests in the restaurant every day and doesn't meet important people, so his vision is wrong? Li Qingyun lowered his head and poured himself a cup of tea, thinking, no matter what, this Feng Yong is not bad, I will take him back to the sect if I have the chance. There are more and more guests everywhere, and they are getting more and more familiar with each other. These are tourists who have not received invitations. Most of them gather on the bottom floor. Now Li Qingyun is one of them. Those who have received invitations and have some status go to the 2nd and 3rd floors. The 4th to 6th floors are where the children of the noble families of Xuanhuan city gather. The 7th and 8th floors are for more distinguished guests, including the patriarchs of the various families in Xuanhuan city and the disciples of the soul-snatching sect who are on good terms with Xuanhuan city. The 9th floor, if nothing unexpected happens, is where the people from the Dihua branch of the Tianji Pavilion, who are above Xuanhuan city, come from. After making these judgments, Li Qingyun thought, if he revealed his identity, which floor would he sit on? If the Qingshan Sect had not declined, he would definitely sit on the 9th floor as the sect master or young sect master, and Wang Ruhai would have to smile at him, but now, the sect is not in the mainstream, so I guess I can only sit on the 7th floor and sit with the elite disciples of the soul-snatching sect. However, maybe, Wang Ruhai, a shrewd businessman, would not do anything without profit, and has always been a centrist. If I can offer something attractive enough to him, or prove my strength, maybe he will slightly adjust his attitude in the competition with the soul-snatching sect. Of course, since he wants to show his strength, Li Qingyun will definitely not show it only in front of Wang Ruhai himself. There are so many people at the banquet, isn't it a good time to announce the return of the Qingshan Sect? Ding, activate the hidden task, and show the prestige of the sect in the Kaiwanzhai restaurant. Rewards, Point 1, 10 to 300, talent points, depending on the result of the task. 2, hidden attributes, unlocked after the 5-star sect. Chapter 9 Zhang Tiankui's Provocation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The shape of the Kaiwanzhai restaurant is circular, and the guests are seated tightly around the huge hollow space. Google search reading, the empty space in the middle is actually the venue for the singing girls to perform in the past, similar to a dance floor. Almost all the guests on the 1st floor looked up at the people and scenery on the upper floor, with envy on their faces. Only Li Qingyun lowered his head to drink tea, looking normal. Feng Yong walked to sit opposite Li Qingyun. He obviously noticed the difference in Li Qingyun and became more curious about him. The guests are basically all here, and the banquet is about to begin. Feng Yong sat on the chair, busy all day, obviously exhausted. Li Qingyun said, the people above haven't arrived yet. Feng Yong smiled and said, the people above have to wait until the last appearance. These big figures from various families and sects, how can I get in touch with them? You have a chance to get in touch with them. Li Qingyun smiled. Feng Yong laughed dryly. He helped this person once, but this person didn't seem to appreciate it at all, and spoke so strangely. Did he make a mistake? Here he comes. Before Feng Yong could think clearly, Li Qingyun suddenly whispered. Here he comes. What? Feng Yong looked around. At this moment, a golden light shot up from the 1st floor, and shot straight from the hollow of the restaurant to the 9th floor. As the golden light appeared, it was like a huge rock falling into the water, and there was an uproar among the guests in Kaiwanzhai. Lord Wang Ruhai is here. As expected of a Jindan stage cultivator, he can actually fly in the air. Yes, even if he can fly at a low altitude for a short time, he is many times stronger than us. A Jindan stage cultivator is almost an immortal. Amid the noise and envy of the crowd, Li Qingyun saw Wang Ruhai appear on the 9th floor, and 3 figures appeared with him. One of them was wearing a blue dress, and her proud long legs were particularly eye-catching, but her temperament was very restrained, pure and clean like a water flower. It was Yi Xiaoyu. In addition to Yi Xiaoyu, there was a young man in white clothes who was about the same age as Li Qingyun, standing aside, looking at Yi Xiaoyu from time to time. Who is this person? Standing next to Wang Ruhai, he should not be an unknown person, but Li Qingyun could not find any memory about him. Thank you all for your kindness. This year is my 150th birthday. I have practiced for 150 years, which is an important year. I am not a stingy person. I will not waste any words. For all of you present, all future business with my Xuanhuan city merchants will be reduced by 10%. As soon as these words came out, the guests were in an uproar again. Lord Wang is righteous. Lord Wang is upright. Lord Wang. The flattery was endless, and Li Qingyun's scalp was numb. Lu Xian was from the Lu family of Xuanhuan city, and was also a direct disciple of the Soul Capture sect. She sat on the 8th floor with the head of the Lu family. At this time, she was looking around in the restaurant carelessly, as if looking for something. Next to her sat a very sturdy man, who was also looking in the direction of Yi Xiaoyu. He seemed to sense Li Qingyun's sight, turned his head to look at Li Qingyun, his eyes suddenly lit up, stretched out his little finger, and gave Li Qingyun a provocative look. Provoke me? Li Qingyun searched for this man's information in his mind. This man should be from the soul-snatching sect, but he couldn't remember who he was. However, since he sat on the 8th floor, his strength should not be low, and it is very likely that he has reached the foundation building stage. And his eyes lit up just now, obviously recognizing me. Could it be an old acquaintance? Or an enemy? Feng Yong knocked on the table. Hey, don't look at it. This Yi Xiaoyu is the treasure of the Soul Capture sect. She is a proud daughter of heaven and has reached the 9th floor. Don't think about it. Li Qingyun smiled and said nothing. Wang Ruhai on the 9th floor greeted everyone and sat back to the main seat to chat with the 2 people on the main seat. Then the host of the restaurant came out and performed one program after another. As the top restaurant in Xuanhuan city, the program effect was naturally explosive and won applause from the whole room, but Li Qingyun knew that judging from the current situation, tonight's banquet would never be so simple. Sure enough, when the program reached the 9th, a stream of light suddenly appeared on the 5th floor. The Wang family of Xuanhuan city presents a Qingzhou demon wood, wishing Lord Wang a long life. Immediately afterwards, countless streams of light appeared on the 4th, 5th, and 6th floors one after another, flying towards the host standing in the center. The He family of Xuanhuan city presents a string of southern jade beads, wishing Lord Wang a long life. The Sun family of Xuanhuan city offers 30 spirit stones. Li Qingyun suddenly realized that this was the gift-giving session. Feng Yong looked at the gifts in the air with envy, and said with emotion, I can't earn any of these gifts in my lifetime. The gap between people is sometimes even bigger than that between people and dogs. The 7th and 8th levels have begun. The head of the Wu family in Xuanhuan city, Wu Molan, presented a 500-year-old Tianshan snow lotus, wishing Lord Wang Ruhai a blooming old tree. Ha 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 ha. All the guests laughed. Since the head of the Wu family has started, we won't hide it. The Zhang family's gift is a low-grade spirit stone. The Zhou family's gift is 500 spirit stones. Feng Yong sighed helplessly. Alas, 500 spirit stones, brothers can't earn it in 10 lifetimes. Li Qingyun looked at Feng Yong's pitiful tone and suddenly felt that the distance between them was shortened. Feng Yong was still a person who could be associated with. It's just that these 500 spirit stones are indeed a lot, although they are not enough for 1/10 of the consumption of the full-scale spirit gathering array in one day. Thinking of this, Li Qingyun supported his forehead. This spirit gathering array is really a headache. That low-grade spirit gathering stone. While talking, the gift-giving session of the 7th and 8th floors was about to end. The host said, Your gifts are really a feast for the eyes. If it weren't for Lord Wang Ruhai's banquet, I would not be able to see so many rare treasures in my next life. I still want to thank Lord Wang Ruhai for giving me the opportunity to broaden my horizons. It must be said that the host's flattery skills are really unobtrusive. Since you have already expressed your feelings to Lord Wang Ruhai, then enter. Wait a minute. A voice suddenly came from the 8th floor, interrupting the host's lines. Li Qingyun's pupils shrank suddenly. It was that person. This. Young Master Zhang, if I remember correctly, you have already given a gift. Do you have any more gifts to give? The host did not expect someone to interrupt him at this time, so he asked. Everyone did not expect such a change, and their eyes were all focused on the 8th floor, facing the eyes of the guests in the entire building. Zhang Tiankui stood up from his seat with a normal expression. The gift has been sent. The song and dance performance is too boring. Zhang Tiankui wants to bring everyone a show of cultivators to liven up the atmosphere. The host said, "Oh. Young man, you are so elegant. I wonder what you want to perform. Swordsmanship or?" "None of them," Zhang Tiankui interrupted the host and said lightly, "I just want to challenge the leader of Qingshan Sect under your witness." After saying this, Zhang Tiankui looked downstairs. "Li Qingyun. How long do you want to hide? Come here but hide and don't show up to see people. Is this your style of doing things, Li Qingyun?" Qingshan Sect. The people present are all dignitaries in Xuanhuan city, and they all know about the affairs of the cultivation world. No one doesn't know, but Qingshan Sect. Isn't it abolished? But after hearing what Zhang Tiankui said, Qingshan Sect seems to have not been abolished. Sect leader Li Qingyun actually came here, but why didn't he show up? And isn't it said that his strength is very poor? Wouldn't it be embarrassing to take action now? Involving the matter of the immortal sect, everyone dared not discuss loudly and could only whisper. For a moment, the whole restaurant fell into a brief silence of whispers, but at this time everyone was concentrating on paying attention to the movements of the entire restaurant, waiting for the main person to appear. At this moment, a faint voice sounded from a place no one expected. "You are a little disciple of the Soul Capture sect. What qualifications do you have to know the whereabouts of this seat? Does this sect master have to report to you, a little disciple?" Feng Yong looked at Li Qingyun, whose aura burst out and his powerful cultivation was exposed. With an unbelievable look on his face, Li Qingyun smiled indifferently and said to the upstairs, "Mr. Wang Ruhai, Li Qingyun doesn't have much money, so I'll give you a storage ring to play with." After that, a stream of emerald green light shot out from Li Qingshan's hand and rushed straight to the 9th floor, but at this time Zhang Tiankui had already stood out from the 8th floor and was blocking the stream of light and the 9th floor. Zhang Tiankui snorted coldly, kicked his feet suddenly, and was about to fly into the air to intercept the gift from Li Qingyun. In the public eye, although Zhang Tiankui's behavior was inappropriate, if he could really intercept Li Qingyun's gift, it would definitely make Li Qingyun, who had just gained popularity, suffer a big loss and embarrass him. Zhang Tiankui's move was really insidious. In the eyes of the public, the gift had already flown into the sky, only one step away from Zhang Tiankui, and it was too late for Li Qingyun to remedy it. Chapter 10, Spirit Gathering Stone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhang Tiankui jumped up from the 8th floor and quickly approached the slow-moving stream of light, with a ferocious smile on his face. "If I intercept this gift, give it to Lord Wang Ruhai, not only will Li Qingyun lose face, but I can also use it to help others, and step on Li Qingyun to get promoted, and make a name for myself in the entire Xuanhuan city. Most importantly, I can vent my anger on Xiaoyu in public, and Xiaoyu will definitely be grateful to me." Zhang Tiankui swung his right arm and grabbed the stream of light fiercely. At this moment, an unbelievable scene appeared. When the stream of light was about to reach Zhang Tiankui's hand, it suddenly stopped, then turned a corner and bypassed Zhang Tiankui. Zhang Tiankui shouted that it was not good, but he was already in mid-air at this time. Although the foundation building cultivator had some ability to pause in the air, he needed a support point to borrow strength. At this time, he had nowhere to borrow strength, and could only watch the gift close to him, staggering and continuing to fly upwards. Feng Yong stared at the flowing light passing through Zhang Tiankui's hand, clapped his hands and shouted, "Good!" As Feng Yong cheered, the lower 6 floors cheered. For a moment, they actually regarded the conflict between Zhang Tiankui and Li Qingyun as a show. The guests above the 6th floor were secretly surprised. They all said that Li Qingyun was a useless person with no progress. Now 3 years have passed, and it seems that Li Qingyun has not made any progress. He can make Zhang Tiankui lose face. Zhang Tiankui failed to catch the flowing light in mid-air, and he lost his strength and staggered to the 7th floor. At this time, Li Qingyun was on the 1st floor, imitating him to make provocative gestures expressionlessly, but Li Qingyun did not extend his little finger, but his middle finger. Li Qingyun, you really pissed me off this time. Zhang Tiankui punched the ground, his face twisted, and he gritted his teeth. After saying this, Zhang Tiankui stood up again. I just made a joke with Sect Master Li, but I didn't expect that Sect Master Li was so serious and even threw me down. I'm sorry to make you laugh. The guests below laughed in understanding when they heard this. Now it's time for the normal program, that is, the duel between me and Sect Master Li. That the guests below have been aroused by the continuous confrontation between Zhang Tiankui and Li Qingshan. At this time, they are actually cheering and cheering. Some young people even whistled and screamed. Zhang Tiankui smiled triumphantly. Sect Master Li, why don't you come up? Feng Yong's lips moved slightly, and he wanted to step forward to remind Li Qingyun, but for a moment he felt that his status with Li Qingyun had suddenly widened, and he didn't dare to speak. He could only open his mouth and salute Li Qingyun. At this time, Li Qingyun seemed to have sensed something, turned his head, nodded to him, smiled, and then jumped up, borrowed the power of the surrounding fences, flew to the 8th floor, and quietly confronted Zhang Tiankui. Zhang Tiankui said, I didn't expect you to really dare to come up. Li Qingyun said, I didn't expect you to have the courage to challenge me. Ha! You are a waste of low-grade Dao Foundation, fighting with me, a middle-grade Dao Foundation. I am not challenging you, but crushing you. Zhang Tiankui seemed to have heard something ridiculous, and said in a loud voice. As soon as this was said, the guests suddenly realized that Zhang Tiankui was a genius of the middle-grade Dao Foundation, and Li Qingyun was just a foundation-building cultivator of the worst low-grade Dao Foundation. No wonder Zhang Tiankui dared to challenge Li Qingyun, so that's why. So, it seems that there is no suspense between the middle-grade Dao base and the low-grade Dao base. But in this case, how embarrassed will Sect Master Li be? Ahem, maybe he has some countermeasures, maybe it's a draw. Li Qingyun said, why do you challenge me? You are just a small disciple, challenging me, the sect master of a sect. Qingshan Sect is in name only. What kind of sect master are you? Zhang Tiankui seemed to have torn his face and said everything. At this time, Wang Ruhai's voice came from the 9th floor. Zhang Tiankui's courage to challenge is commendable, but it is indeed unbecoming for a disciple to challenge the sect master of a sect. As soon as this was said, Zhou Wei, the guest, naturally agreed. That's right. It seems that it's not good. Li Qingyun said, Mr. Wang Ruhai is right. Zhang Tiankui challenged me. Even if he loses, he can use the reputation of this sect master to make a name for himself. But what if he wins? Wouldn't this sect master lose face? Why should this sect master accept this challenge that has no benefit? What do you think? Zhang Tiankui was stunned. He didn't expect this. This is purely an excuse for your cowardice. Li Qingyun sneered and said nothing. Wang Ruhai's voice came again. How about this? If Zhang Tiankui loses, it means that this kid overestimates his own ability. Let him pay a certain price. How about it? Li Qingyun said, then I will give this junior a chance. At this time, Yi Xiaoyu, who was sitting next to him, suddenly spoke. Mr. Wang, I think the low-grade spirit gathering stone sent by the Zhang family is very good, just right to use it as a challenge bet for Zhang Tiankui. What do you think? Wang Ruhai said, ha, okay. Zhang Tiankui, who was below, was confused at this time. He heard that these people made a decision for him in just a few moments, and his goddess Yi Xiaoyu even took out the gift proposal of their entire Zhang family as a bet. This is not what senior sister Lu planned for me. Why do I suddenly feel like I've been betrayed? He shook his head. It was impossible. He could definitely defeat Li Qingyun. How could the goddess Xiaoyu speak for this deceitful person? She must be standing with him, and she is betting on her family's gifts just to make herself more justified, and Li Qingyun was very happy at this time. Xiaoyu is really a roundworm in my stomach. How did she know that this sect leader has been thinking about this stone? Low-grade spirit-gathering stones are the energy core that can replace spirit stones to open the spirit-gathering array. However, among these sects, no one has a spirit-gathering array, and the sects that have the money to open a spirit-gathering array do not care about these spirit-gathering stones. Therefore, the value of the spirit-gathering stone is greatly reduced here, and no one pays attention to it. It happened to be a bargain for Li Qingyun. Thinking of this, Li Qingyun couldn't help but laugh. Zhang Tiankui saw a smile on Li Qingyun's lips. He actually laughed. Did this loser really overestimate his ability and think that he was guaranteed to win? He sneered, "Sect leader Li, although the spirit-gathering stone is good, you must be qualified to get it. Originally, I wanted to save some face for you, but now it seems that someone like you is not worthy of me, Zhang Tiankui, to keep my hand." The smile on Li Qingyun's lips froze, and he slowly looked at Zhang Tiankui. "I'll give you this sentence too. You don't know how to speak well.